Number 7, and the last. Bola Ahmed Tinubu's MMT, you know what they call the MMT? His Muslim ticket? Just like what the fellow called El Rufai did in Kaduna State, is an opening of the floodgates of bloodshed for an imminent genocide. Never in the history of this country have we had the kind of bloodshed that went on in Kaduna State because of this MMT that was floated at the governorship level. Now we have brought that MMT to the federal level, and one of the side effects that nobody seems to understand is this. When the colonials left us, they gave us a nation that was engineered to keep failing without falling. And that's because there was a precarious balance. They did it in such a way that it was necessary for us to have a Muslim-dominated North that needed a counterbalance of a weighty Christian South to keep the nation failing without falling. Now, the moment you remove that counterbalance, you open the floodgates of hell. The last time an African country did this was in 1994. They took apart the colonial equation without having the understanding, because they say Africans, they say we are emotive, intuitive. They say that we are unscientific and incapable of critical thought. And when they did that in that African nation, 1.2 million people were slaughtered within 100 days. And I can tell you that the imbalance created in that country is nothing compared to what Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to fulfill his ambition, unknowingly has done to the precarious balance that was upholding Nigeria. So now, after the 7 factors all said and done, what shall the righteous do? This is not a time for self-deceit. First of all, we need to understand that the nation, Nigeria, is facing nothing less than 5 existential threats as we speak right now. And Bola Ahmed Tinubu has to be brought to his understanding that he is merely a pawn in a larger spiritual construct that is after the destiny of Nigeria. Now, any family, for starters, that has had to deal with a drug addiction problem will know that if there's one thing we can't afford in this country, it's for a nation whose borders are porous, that is corruption-ridden, to become so user-friendly to drug barons that it will now become a paradise for the illegal drug merchants from all over the world. This is something that we cannot afford. We cannot allow Nigeria to become a drug cartel's paradise. And this is what we are watching in the offing. So righteous men all over the world and within Nigeria are going to have to join hands together to put up a monitor and a watch on the drug cartels and the doors open that they will try to exploit in the days ahead. Now, number 2, we're not to remember that Tinubu himself is a pawn in this whole game. So the prayer we're going to be praying is that we need to intercede for his life. We need to pray for God to protect the life of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, give him not only sound health, but also give him divine protection from the enemy that is within. Because at the slightest opening, I can tell you something, the terror hydra is ruthless. It's a global machinery, and there's no amount of cunning that one man can put up against that global machinery. So what are we talking about here? We need to pray for him, for God to open the eyes of his understanding. Let God help him to see his own reflection in the mirror of truth as the ugly embodiment of the corruption that is enabling the forces of darkness in Nigeria. Number 3, knowing that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not beyond salvage, we're going to have to ask God to shatter the demonic illusions of grandeur that is powering his inordinate ambition. We must ask for God to heal him from childhood traumas, the things that have pushed him into the universe of alternate truths. For we know the history of many things. I mean, he talked about him attending some school in Chicago, talk about attending government college. Ibadan cannot quote his school number and all that. So we are going to have to get on our knees, church, and pray for the life of this man and for God to open the eyes of his understanding. So in closing for now, I want us to make it clear that it has to be known, again, that the capture of the ark by the Philistines and Dagon is just a temporary setback. The church of Nigeria will bounce back. The greatest challenge we had in the first place was this: eagles had no reason to be flying at the same level as bats in the first place. So we must repent, ask for God's forgiveness, and ask God to cleanse this disgrace where one man embodied by powers of darkness, you know what I'm saying, entrenched in a spiritual construct, put one hand behind his back and defeated the whole Nigerian church all put together. So I'm going to ask you to do something for us. I want you to please share this. Hit the subscribe button, because we're going to come back to you again. And when we're coming back next time, we're going to be coming with a lot of the solutions that have to be in place as we watch over this country. Like I said to you, the destiny of this country is in the hands of God-fearing people within the church and outside the church, who must join hands together to stand against this tide and make it known that it's a dishonorable thing to be offered any position in this government except the Lord himself is the one orchestrating it. Not only that, when we come back, we're going to help you to understand what we call the way of peace. When we come back, we're going to look at the prophetic proclamation of Star Abubakar Tafawa Balewa in 1960 on the 7th of October, when he spoke about eternal truths. The liberation fathers of Nigeria, they foresaw this time. They knew that a generation would come that would have to take a stand for righteousness for Nigeria to get into its destiny. And by God's grace, we will make it. So brace up, church. Let nobody be discouraged. Let nobody be despondent. Look, darkness can only reign for a short season. The light has come. And I'm telling you something, the star of this nation will rise like never before. God bless you. Don't forget to share.